to another episode of the TREBLE episode 4, Chelsea versus Everton review. Hello Kieran, how are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, doing fantastic, mate. Even better after that lovely performance. How are you doing yourself?
Yeah, mate, I'm not too bad, thanks. It was a good performance, wasn't it?
Definitely. So I guess that's time just to get straight into it. So obviously Chelsea-Everton started off pretty bright. Obviously, come on, and then we get the goal, a deflection in from Ben Godfrey. Pretty solid first half overall, and then moving into the second half, obviously Havertz comes through again, wins the penalty. Second goal, Jorginho with another penalty. Overall, solid performance. What did you think of the game as a whole, mate?
Yeah, mate. I thought we looked fresh, to be honest with you. I said the other day we looked professional and sort of against Liverpool. Today we just looked fresh. I think that's obviously down to our squad depth. I think Darren Fletcher mentioned it on commentary on BT Sport. Our squad depth. I think really when you look at the squad depth in the league, I think the only team who's potentially got better squad depth than us is Man City. So I think that really showed today, because Everton had a couple of injuries. I didn't think they started badly, to be honest. I thought particularly Allen, he was really good in centre midfield for them, really good today. He sort of carried them a little bit. I thought defence was pretty good as well. Godfrey was pretty beast. Unfortunately with the own goal, but he was pretty good. So I think that's why we sort of struggled to create anything to sort of start with, really. But then as the game sort of continued, we sort of grew into it. I think the goal sort of opened it up really a little bit. And yeah, it was just a really smart performance. I mean, fair play to Double T. We obviously do our predictions on our Instagram, and it's not gone very well so far because he makes changes every week. Might have to consider giving that up because it just makes me look a bit silly. But anyway, he made changes. Well, I think we're both very surprised to see Kai Havertz in the starting 11, and he was superb today. That's what I mean about fresh. I don't know when in the summer when he joined us. I know he was playing in the Europa League relatively late. I don't know if that had an impact on him.
Quarter or semi-finals he got to. So yeah, he was playing late into August anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking he went obviously late into August. Yeah, he must have played. I'm just trying to think, did they actually play him though? Because obviously he was going to go to Chelsea. So either way you look at it,
he played one of the legs definitely against United.
So when you look at it either way, so he either played in August late, so didn't get much of a break, or he didn't play, but he didn't have a pre-season to sort of get going into. So you can see why he sort of looked a bit sort of lethargic back then. Frank sort of playing him in a bit of a deeper role as well. Then he had COVID, and I think that did really hit him for 6. But today, fair play to him. He looked like a really superb player. And I hate to say it, but poor Tammy Abraham, that is now another striker who's going to start ahead of him.
I bet you hate to say it. That's something I'm sure you take great pleasure in saying. But yeah, you're right, mate. We looked fresh. Obviously, we texted each other before the game, and I said to you saying, "Oh, bit of an interesting lineup there. No N'Golo. Obviously, I didn't expect Thiago Silva to be back so soon, but seeing him on the bench, I was like, well, if he's fit enough for the bench, is he going to get a run out at all? Obviously, Kurt Zouma coming back into the side again, who I thought he was pretty good today. Like, I know you have your issues with him, particularly when he carries the ball forward. But I thought he didn't do too bad. I thought he looked quite all right on the ball. He played a few passes around. He didn't go above his means. He sort of stuck to what he knew he could do. But yeah, like you said, we grew into the game obviously early on. I know Fletcher said on commentary as well that we just didn't really have any creativity or conviction going forward. We didn't have any sort of identity of what we were going to do and how we were going to go at Everton. And then coming to the game, the players who looked fresh just went at them. Like they were relentless. Kai Havertz was absolutely insane. He only got better as the game went along. And yeah,
I felt he looked a bit tired at the end. I don't blame him with the style of play we played, but I feel he could have gone off maybe 10 or 15 minutes to go. But I also think leaving him for 90 minutes did him good to get more match fitness, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. That was something I was going to touch on a little bit later, but we can definitely cover it now. Where Double T's obviously said to begin with that Pulisic is going to come on for him, and he was just like, absolutely not. He said, I've had the best game I've had all season. This is a game where I've properly shown up. Like I would argue that was an even better performance than when he got the hat trick against Barnsley in the League Cup, because that one was a bit of a write off. Like that, there wasn't much for him to do, but today that
And
like
that also that one against Barnsley involved 2 or 3 Tammy assists. So yeah, this one
it
was a better performance.
did. But yeah, definitely, it was something I was surprised to see him starting. But yeah, we really grew into the game. Obviously, then we get the goal. Personally, I think it should have been given to him, but whatever. Ben Godfrey obviously gets the last touch, deflects it past Jordan Pickford. Quite unfortunate. What do you think of the rest of the team in the first half? Obviously, we've touched on the impact of Kai Havertz and the changes. Who else stood out for you quite a lot in the first half, particularly?
Reece James, he was another one who sometimes for me in our last couple of games, he's sort of turned into a bit of a, I don't want to say like a bit of a Ben Chilwell, but he's had that process that we discussed about, and I think our last episode where he said against Liverpool, Chile was much more positive. Um, but I think Reece had he's had a similar thing where he's looked to go back more than forward. Today, I don't know if it was a tactic they used to try and pin Digne in, but he was constantly a threat going forward. I was really impressed with Reece. Callum on the left, I thought that was an interesting one. Callum on the left, because obviously Timo usually plays on the left, and then whoever else is there plays on the right. But Callum on the left, he looked far more comfortable. I don't know if it was because he was playing in a more attacking role, but wow, I think he basically created the first goal. So he picked the ball up, did a turn, was then running at the Everton defence, which you just can't do anything in that situation. You either take him out or, well, I don't think you can defend him in that position. That's just what he's capable of. So I was really impressed with Callum. I'd be interested to see him being taken off again at relatively early doors, but there's obviously some sort of reason behind it. And then the last player, there was another one I was really impressed with. I can't remember who it was now off the top of my head. I mean, I would say it could have been either or Jorginho or Christensen. They're both superb again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could basically pick the whole team, to be honest. It was that good a performance.
Yeah, it was one of those where really, if Havertz hadn't had the game he had, it would have been a real tough one to think of who the man of the match would have been. Because obviously, like you said, there were plenty of performances all over the place that were positive. I think you made a really good point there, touching on the effect of Reece James, where he was bombing forward, and obviously Havertz was roaming around quite a lot, so he wasn't sticking to that right side, which created a lot of space for Reece James. And like you said, Digne is one of their better players, and he just seemed completely neutralised today. It seemed like he really couldn't get anything going because he had to deal with Reece James for so long. He looked knackered at the end of the game. I thought he'd been run ragged, and really Reece James, he was good, but he hadn't done anything where you're like, oh my god, that's like the moment of the game for him. But he just ran him ragged, tired him out, left him with not really a lot of like option other than just to keep tracking back. And every time he tried to get forward, we had brilliant like ball winning from Kovacic and from Jorginho. I think Christensen, again, like you said, was terrific. He was the more aggressive of our 3 centre backs. I don't know if you think the same way. He would come out and meet the ball and stop any balls getting in behind, which really just put Richarlison off his game. I thought that style of defending, having an
Don't get me
aggressive man
started
to
on
the ball and
Richarlison. Richarlison's name should be banned on this channel. Just hate him, man. I mean, fair play to him. Karma took place. He died for a free kick. We went down the other end and scored. So I guess thank you, Richarlison.
Yeah, exactly. And like he is a player, like don't get me wrong, it was a bit despicable what he did, but he is a player who can impact a game every now and then. Obviously, he's had a great run of games recently. He had a bit of a slower start to the
6
season.
and 6.
But like today overall I thought we were fantastic. Like you said, Havertz was quite good, and then obviously moving into the second half, I thought that's when we really took the game over and we really stamped our authority on the game. Kai Havertz obviously again making those unbelievable runs. That was the best part of the game. I don't think it's the shot converted into an own goal. I don't think it was just the winning the penalty. I think it was the overall runs he was making. It was just diagonal runs across the centre back. Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey had absolutely no idea where he was for half the game because he was just making runs in behind them, making dummy runs to create space up the pitch. I think there were a few moments in there as well from Jorginho, who it really pains me to say. I warm to him every week, every game that goes on. I seem to warm to him a little bit more, but there was a moment in the game. I don't know how well you remember it, where he was pressured on the edge of our box, and he just took the ball, did like a half Cruyff turn, and then turned again and just played the ball out. And I just looked at him, and was like, wow. I was like, Jorginho 6 months ago wouldn't even think about fucking passing the ball forwards. He just passed it back to Mendy, but it was just great confidence. I think he pushed on, was a lot better. He was good in the first half, but he was a lot better in the second half, I thought. What stood out for you in the way we attacked the second half?
Like you just said there, Jorginho's just. I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago about how Christensen's better in this formation because he gets more protection. I think it's also given Jorginho a lot of confidence because he now he's less. I don't think he's ever been scared on the ball, but he's even less scared now, if that makes sense, because he knows if he makes a mistake, it's just probably a 2-on-3 because we've got three back there already. Whereas before it would be a 2-on-2, which that's how we were conceding goals, from mistakes, and that could be a mistake from midfield, lose the ball, bang, counter attack, 1-0 the opposition. So I think he's just come on leaps and bounds. Really, I've always been a big fan of his, but he's just if midfield for me is one of our strongest spots. Like Kovacic won Player of the Year last year, and N'Golo Kante, I think, is probably our only world-class player at the minute. So it's a tricky one for spots at the moment, but I guess that's just great for rotation. But going back to the question you asked me about who stood out, I was also a little bit impressed with Kurt Zouma. In the first half, I thought he was going backwards a little bit too much, just because he's in the awkward position where he's not got a great left foot. So when the ball's played out to him, he wants to try and get it on that right. So he sort of blocks off playing it out to the left, which I think affected Marta, because Alonso as well, he couldn't get in the game that much. But second half, Zouma opened himself up a lot more, was looking to pass forward. That got Alonso in the game. So I was particularly impressed with Zouma second half, to be fair to him. I was a bit concerned when he went down injured because I didn't know how I thought that might unbalance the side a little bit. But all in all, I think he was pretty good.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think Kurt Zouma looked a lot more solid. I think he suited a back three a lot better, purely because he had the protection the same way Jorginho does. And it was a bit concerning. Obviously, you don't want to ever disrupt a back three, a back four, a back five. I'm a big advocate. If you're going to make subs, they're either for injury or they're in attacking positions for a bit of spark in the game. And it's not often you see a centre back puffing and blowing late in the game. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I think Zouma was fantastic. I think Marcos Alonso sort of petered out a little bit towards the end of the game. He does so much going forward and obviously not a lot going back, but he just wears himself out. He was obviously great making those runs into the box, which obviously highlighted how well Cal was playing because he had the support there. He wasn't doing it all by himself, and obviously from a lot more advanced position. And then we get into the position where the ball's played through. Kai Havertz tries to take it round Jordan Pickford, and he's clipped him, and you can tell by the look on his face straight away. He knew. He knew he'd got man and not ball. That's
what Jordan Pickford's all about, though. Jordan Pickford he was probably one of their better players as well, made some fantastic saves. But then he just did that moment of, I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit harsh, maybe he had to come out and get the ball, but I don't know if Havertz would have scored from that angle, but I don't know. I just think it's got Pickford a bit written all over.
Yeah, it's like we touched on the last few weeks, that how we start the game really does dictate how we will play the game and how we will go on and perform. And I do think that going at Jordan Pickford was the main point of what we should have done today. Really trying to expose him.
Well, we did have more shots today, so I wonder if they considered that. I thought we had loads more shots today than we usually do. I think we created a lot more as well, which helps. But what do you reckon there? Do you reckon they set up how this keeper's a bit got a mistake in him, just have a go at him more, or Do you reckon it was just good football that led to more shots?
I think it's a bit of both. I think the way we played obviously allowed us to get more shots off from closer range. But if you look at like examples, obviously they weren't very good shots, but two from Jorginho from outside the box off like corners or crosses. He was taking shots from outside the box, which he very rarely does, because he knew that Pickford has a spill in him or has a mistake, or like he knows that he won't deal with the change of pace if it hits anybody on the way through. Another example of that is that free kick. We had a little bet out wide. I think it's where Digne brought down Reece James and we had a free kick, and it looked like it was Marcus Alonso going to whip it in. Aspi was obviously directing people around in the box, and he just went
was
for it.
really directing traffic.
Like in most situations, you go up against an Edison, you go up against a Nick Pope, and Alisson, obviously not as of recently. You don't go for that. You don't take that chance from that position to try and whip it into the corner, because it's got to move so much around to really nestle into the corner. It does end up going quite straight, but he's tested Pickford there. I think he was trying to expose him, but obviously the penalty goes in, and then from then on we just kept going at him. Obviously Timo Werner had a couple of chances in there. He definitely should have done better on the long ball over the top where he's brought it down and he's gone left-footed into the near post. I really think he should either tried wrapping it around the goalie or just smashing it past Pickford. I don't think he picked the best option, but it was a lot more positive from him. Again, another week, another good performance for making runs and stuff. What did you think of Timo Werner today? I'd be interested to hear what you think overall of his performance. Did you like it? Do you think he was a bit crap? Could he have done a little bit more? Or did he just do the perfect job to complement Havertz, who really just took the game over?
I was going to say he wasn't as good as he was against Liverpool, but I think you actually just made a very good point there, that he and Havertz just complemented one another. You know, when he's out wide, he's not going to be maybe as much of a direct threat, if that makes sense, as he would be down the middle, in my opinion. Just because I don't know, he's got more of a chance of scoring, in my opinion, from down the middle. But he should have scored twice today. But I mean, we've touched on it before that we said we felt we weren't creating the chances for him, and like today just proves it, that they were clear-cut chances. Yes, he should have scored at least one of them. I think the first one he should have scored. The second one was a bit harder because I think that was actually really good keeping from Pickford. Pickford was quick off his line there, so fair play to him. But the first one, he went near post. It should have gone far post. But I think, I'm just happy to see him in those positions. And I mean, when he gets one, one brings two, as we say in cricket. I think he'll flourish really. It's just one of those things for me. Like, we're playing well at the moment, that if the more like other people score, if that makes sense, it'll ease the pressure off him, because then he'll just chip in with a goal, and then he'll chip in a goal with like a couple of weeks later, and before you know it, he's got 3 in like 5 games, and suddenly his confidence will just boost. But yeah, I was satisfied with him. I think it's probably the correct word, satisfied.
Yeah, not overly impressed. Right, we have two audio messages or something through at the minute, so we'll go through those if you want to, just to see what they say, answer any questions, give any opinions, and then
Sure.
we'll carry on with the rest of the game.
Chelsea winning the treble next season. That's all that has to be said.
Well,
winning the treble next year, apparently. Fair play.
Yeah.
Thank you for your message.
Yeah, thank you. The listener is Kman10. Thank you very much for that. I do love it. Obviously, must be a distant relative of Billy Gilmore, based on the accent, supporting the family and all that. Yeah, I mean, if we play the way we are now, there's no reason we can't. But it's a bit ambitious.
Yeah, I mean, now would be as good a time as ever, you could argue, to do something special like that, just on the basis of Barcelona in crisis at the moment. God knows what's going on there. Madrid have just built a new stadium. I don't think they'll be able to buy a big money player. So that's the two of the biggest teams ever. Sort of at their weakest I've seen for certainly a long time. So take those two out, and then it leaves you with Bayern Munich, who are obviously the top dogs, and Man City, who haven't done it in Europe. So I think those two are definitely still a step away still a step away from everyone else. I personally think City will win the Champions League this year, but no, it's an interesting point. We might not even make it into the Champions League yet. It might be Europa, so we might win FA Cup, League Cup, and Europa League. So who knows?
Yeah, no, I think we're pretty solid the way we're going Champions League. Right, we've got another one. We'll get to that.
Lads, I love this talk, but I mean, come on, man. Let's just admit it. Chelsea are winning everything, mate. Okay. Now, realistically, we are too good. I mean, where's Arsenal? I can't see Arsenal from where we are. Where are they? Where's Tottenham? Jesus, are we actually representing London again? Not a surprise.
Yeah, I think too right. That's the best. That's the best statement to make. London's blue. London will always be blue. It will never change. I think Arsenal, yeah, they're shy. Tottenham, I don't care. Okay, Bale started scoring now. It's a bit late for that. Like, Tottenham don't do anything anyway. Like, they'll get to it. They could be 20 points clear with 5 games left and still somehow lose the league.
But they do have Harry Kane, Kane is arguably the best player in the league at the moment.
I think without doubt he's the best player in the league at the minute.
But yeah, they've just got a player there who him or Son could win a game by themselves. They were doing that early in the season, and now they're in the same boat as us. I think us two are in a good position here because, in my opinion, the pressure's on Man United and Leicester. They're the teams above us. They got to keep on winning. If they slip up, we'll pounce.
Leicester haven't exactly been doing very much recently to stake their claim of being solid in the top 4 again for the second year in a row. They just seem to fall off at the worst possible time. United, on the other hand,
I think they've had a couple of injuries, haven't they? They've had a couple of injuries. Leicester, Maddison's injured and Harvey Barnes, which is 2 huge players, to be fair to them.
Yeah, Harvey Barnes has been superb, but I really do think we really are in a good position now because we're not making any mistakes. We're just waiting for everybody else to do it. Obviously, United pulled out a result. I don't think anybody would have predicted yesterday. But shock, Bruno Fernandes has scored another penalty, which goes into, obviously, I'll throw it in there quick before we listen to this next message, I presume from K-Man 10 again. Jorginho is now 6 of 6 on penalties. This season, he's only scored from the penalty spot. He actually hasn't scored from open play. A bit of Bruno Fernandes tax in there. Doesn't score any goals from open play. Just has to get from the spot. It really did amuse me. Because
Jorginho turns up in big games.
Oh, that's true. I suppose, yeah. I saw something yesterday. It was absolutely ludicrous that Fernandes has finally turned up in a big game. It's like he scored a penalty in the 2nd minute. Like I didn't even think he was one of the best 3 players on the pitch yesterday. But we'll get into this next.
No,
2 now. We'll get
I do. All right.
Sorry.
Not only is London blue, but we've also beat Liverpool and Everton in the past 7 days. So that also means the Merseyside's blue. So we actually run 2 cities. Thank you very much.
That is a very good point, to be fair. Cheers, Cayman.
That is a fantastic point. Yeah. And I suppose Anfield may as well be renamed Fulham Road. The famous song Liverpool got where it brings up Anfield Road. They should probably start talking about Fulham Road because they've lost to 2 West London clubs in a row. I remember saying to you yesterday, Johnny, putting in the group chat that Brentford may as well go down there while they've got the chance just to go and beat them, just to complete the West London trifecta.
Yeah,
but we'll get on to this next one.
We might have to send some tweets and put some Instagram photos up of Merseysiders Blues. Cheers, Cayman.
Yeah, that's definitely on there.
Anyway, lads, I'm going to pop you a follow up to you if you want to follow me. But yeah, lads, up the Chelsea.
Thank you very
much.
What
support,
top, man. That was. I think that was absolutely brilliant. Nice change.
I think that's just made the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
I really do.
It's definitely going to be my favourite one so far now because of that. Just it's the accent, the everything. So we'll definitely give him a follow back, and we'll
Yeah.
We'll
love to see you on here more often, Cayman.
Definitely follow we've got Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Follow the lot. Keep in touch. Obviously, keep contributing, and we'll definitely get back to you on as much as possible. So just in the interest of time, obviously not to extend this way beyond the means of being watchable on YouTube and whatnot. Just summarise the game. I personally thought my final thoughts on the game were we were superb in every facet of the game. I don't think there was any point where we looked pressured by Everton. They had a couple of chances, but we just looked like nothing was going to really get past us. Bernard obviously skied one late on. There was another one where he was running through, and as he did all game, Christensen just comes out, gets in the way of it, deflects out there, and that set up for the second team of Werner one-on-one. They unfortunately didn't score. So your final thoughts on the game before we look forward to next week's, the weekend's game against Leicester? Leeds.
Yeah, no, it's Leeds, yeah. I did just want to say there about Christensen. Kovacic gave, I think, the ball away first half, and he genuinely put in like a Maldini masterclass defensively there. Did the little surfing, I can't think of the correct football term for it. Surfing, we'll call it surfing or skateboarding. Jockeying, that's the word. Jockeying back. I think it's Richarlison. and then he stuck a leg out, tackled him, and that was just done and dusted. I think that just epitomised the performance. Really, that was just superb from him.
Yeah, we'll get into our player spotlight a little bit soon. Obviously, I think it's pretty obvious who is going to be on. We've touched on him before in the game. But do you have a stat of the game, Johnny?
I do indeed. So my stat of the match is only Sarri and Frank Clark have begun their Premier League managerial careers with a longer unbeaten run for Chelsea than Double T, which is Sarri got 12, Frank Clark got 11. Double T is currently on 9.
Yeah.
What about yours?
He could be sole ownership of the record. The one I had today was, let me find it. He's the first, Double T, another one for his little memory box. He is the first manager to keep 5 consecutive clean sheets in his first 5 home games as manager of a club. Nobody has ever done it. I think the most ever was 4 before that, and that was Carlo Ancelotti.
I would just like to add, I just wanted to add that.
Sorry,
I think it's actually even. I just wanted to say I think it's even harder for Double T as well because there's no crowd at the bridge. So effectively, it's almost the easiest it's ever been for away teams to come, and he's just kept 5 clean sheets there. I think that's superb. One of which was obviously Man United second in the league. I can't even remember the other ones. Wolves weren't great, obviously. Everton,
Liverpool, Everton.
No, we played Liverpool away, didn't we? But Everton, Wolves, Burnley weren't great either. But Everton and Man United, good teams. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been some very impressive clean sheets as well in there. So we'll get on to a little bit more about Kai Havertz, obviously, from today's game. Obviously, he was very, very good in that. He was sort of playing as the second 10 in the team, along with Callum Hudson-Odoi, and then it switched to him more so playing like a false 9. Like, what do you reckon to him in that sort of position? Do you think we could, going forward, have him play in that position regularly and starting regularly if he can pull out performances like he did today with sort of a newfound position and playing a lot higher up the pitch than he did when he played under Frank?
100%, mate. I thought that was his. I think that is his position. Not just saying it because he put in a good performance today. I think he needs to either be. Yeah, I just think he needs to be there on just behind the striker, which I'm not sure you can really. I'm not really that big a fan of playing like a centre forward, but with or behind a striker in the Premier League, just because you're required to do so much defensive work. But yeah, I think that's his best position. I just thought his movement in behind was good, but then he's also got the first touch that he can get it into feet and lay it off. Something I don't think he struggled with it today, but I think if he just sort of bulks up, goes through a bit of the Leon Goretzka process, I think he'll be top class because he's relatively quick. Havertz, he's deceptively quick. I'm not saying he's the quickest person on our team because he's not, but he's deceptively quick. So he's got the ability to run in behind, and he's 6'1". So there was a couple of times he beat Michael Keane in the air for headers, so he can put himself about. So I think that's his best position.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I've said a lot about him. Obviously, he just got in such good positions today. He created space for other people. Like, I think those 2 Werner chances a lot of the time came from players like Kovacic and Jorginho and Hudson-Odoi running with the ball, and they're tracking Havertz, which that just leaves so much space for Timo Werner, and a player as quick as him, you don't really want to give him much space. Obviously, on another day, he might have scored 2 goals and we've come away with a 4-0 win, but I think he's just absolutely superb. I think Tuchel's found his position one game in already, and hopefully he can pull out a few more performances like that. So obviously, moving on, we're unless you have any final thoughts on Kai Havertz.
No, I think he just stepped up a plate today. I think for a young player as well. That I wasn't going to say this, but I think that's sort of why we played. I know obviously it's not one of the big sides, but I think that is why we sort of paid the big bucks for him, because if he can do that now at 21, he's going to be class in 8 years' time when he hits his peak.
Yeah, but here's hoping he follows on from the last German midfielder we signed that I can recall. Well, what class German midfielder in Michael Ballack. Obviously, a bit different players, but they're both pretty physical players, pretty dominant. So hopefully, he can make as much of an impact as Ballack did in the few seasons he played for us. So moving on to the next game we have. Obviously, we've got Leeds at the weekend. Obviously, I said Leicester earlier. I just got confused. We've got Leeds at the weekend. What's your thoughts going into the game? Like, are you worried? Have you gained way more confidence from the last two games? What do you think overall about what we can do going forward?
I think when we beat Leeds last time, if I remember right, I could be wrong, but did that win send us top of the league in December?
I want to say you're right. That was obviously a while back. Yeah, I want to say you're right that we beat 3-1 5th of December. So that would have been around the time we were top of the league.
Yeah. So I thought they were very good that day. I think 3-1 flattered us a little bit, to be honest. I think we still deserve to win on the day, but I thought they were a pretty good side. I know they are a good side, and I kind of like the way they go about their football is that they play their style of football to whoever and whenever, really. Do you know what I mean? But that's also their downfall, because they're so inconsistent and unpredictable. I've just got their sort of last few games here. So they lost to Villa but beat Saints. Then they also lost to Wolves and Arsenal, and lost to Everton. You just don't know what you're going to get with them, really, because they're 4-0 down to Arsenal, and then went and scored 2. So it's just another tricky fixture, to be honest with you. They've obviously got one of the most sort of like. Yeah, they've got Bamford, obviously former True Blue as well, who's in fine form. Probably one of the. I don't know how you describe them. Emerging players. I don't even know what you describe them as, but 13 goals, 5 assists in 26 games. Fair play to him. He's really delivered when I don't think a lot of people thought he would.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people, sort of the jury was out on him. He was awful last season. I have a friend of mine from the pub back home, and he's a massive Leeds fan. He's from Leeds, and moved down there for work. And I was telling him all we hear about how much I love Patrick Bamford. Obviously being a Blue previously himself, he obviously had a really good run at Middlesbrough, and he was like, "Oh mate, he's crap. Like he didn't do anything last season." I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And then he gets that hat trick earlier on this season. He is really their impact player. Obviously, they signed Rodrigo from Valencia, and he's just been crap. Like he hasn't done anything all season.
I think he has had a couple of injuries, to be fair. Yeah, Rafinha is another one. But I think Rodrigo's he has had a couple of injuries, I think. But either way, for the money they paid, it is disappointing.
Yeah.
But I suppose it doesn't matter when you got Bamford who scored 13.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way I look at it. With us, like Havertz hasn't been performing until today, but Mason Mount has, so it really just makes up for it. But yeah, I personally think going into the game, I've got a lot of confidence going into the game. They've got a couple of players that I'm a bit worried about, but I think Everton have way more players to be worried about today, and we dealt with them easily today. Really, it didn't really look worrying whatsoever.
I think that's a good point. I've just actually got some notes here which is sums up Leeds. Only 3 teams have conceded more goals than them, but only 5 teams have scored more goals than them. So they've they let goals in and they could score loads. So they even scored more than us. So who knows? Could they be the team to not beat us. I don't know if they'll do that, but I mean, I think we've only conceded 2 goals, one of which was Tony Rudiger. So
Yeah.
I can't even think of
Dickhead.
when the other one was. Can you remember where that other goal was? I saw we conceded 2 earlier, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, I can't remember it really. But yeah, that's like the note I had in the notes I sent you earlier, that Leeds really could they could score 5 against you, but they could also concede 7. So it could be a high scoring game here. Obviously, we're not the highest scoring of teams going forward. Like we have a lot of 1-0s, 2-0s, 3-0s, and we were susceptible to conceding a goal or 2 at the start of the season. But like now, it doesn't look like really anybody's going to score against us. Obviously, the only person I can recall, obviously you said there's been another one, the only person I can recall scoring against us is Rudiger, and he plays for us. So if you think about it, really, unless we can think of that other goal, there's been no player in the Premier League or an Atletico Madrid player or even a Barnsley player, obviously we played them in the Cup, that's actually scored against us. Like, the only person who's scored against us since Tuchel took over is our own player. So it's just looking like today just made me so much more confident. I felt quite confident after the Liverpool game, but that's a bragging rights game. I just hate Liverpool fans. So like it just felt so good for them to just stop being so arrogant about everything and just, sit back down and go back to where they were before. But like after today, I think it was a much more convincing performance. It was very compact and professional performances, I think is a good way to describe it. But going into the Leeds game, I'm pretty confident. I've 2 or 3-0, I think. Like, I know Leeds can bang a few in, but I just think the way we're playing defensively, they won't get the opportunities as such. Like Everton, they can score a few, but they just didn't get the opportunities. They were barely in our box today. The closest they got to scoring is when Richarlison took a dive and the free kick hit the wall. I think that's really the closest they got.
Yeah, I think that's correct, mate. I'll go for 2-0 Chelsea for my prediction as well, I think. And you know what? I'm even going to be bold, mate, and I'm even going to call a Timo Werner goal. As long as he starts, I think he'll score.
Yeah, I like it. I wouldn't put it past him.
I think Leeds press like to man mark and press, don't they? So I think he might have an opportunity to burst through. We'll see, but I think he might score in a 2-0 win for the Blues. Yeah,
definitely. I think man marking Timo Werner is a hard task for any centre back, but I think the lads at Leeds have got, although they are quite good, I don't think they'll be able to deal with the pace of Timo Werner. There are not many people in the world that I think can. So it'll be very interesting to see. Any final thoughts? I think that's a good time to wrap it up.
I think that pretty much rounds up. Yeah, I think that rounds it up, mate.
Yeah. Well, as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will be posted back up there if you've missed any of it, for you to watch as many times as you want. Obviously, subscribe, turn the notification bell on, and show support. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. The links will be put in the descriptions of our specific profiles. It's at truebluespodcast on Twitter and truebluespodcast on Instagram. And we will see you next week. Thank you very much, John. I appreciate you.
Always, mate. It was a pleasure. Toodle pip, guys.
Pleasure as always. See ya.